Awesome. Hey everyone, welcome to the 32nd episode of the Friendlyjordies podcast. How's it going?
Hey.
Hi everyone.
I'm Tom, we've got Jordan here.
Pleasure to meet you on this most magical of mornings. If you have some fairy dust in your house, sprinkle it on yourself, and if it gets in your eyes, not our fault. You should just manage that better.
And Robbie, our sound dude.
Hi guys, how are you?
Yeah, good man.
Great, okay.
Everyone's quite nervous at the moment because FBI has told us on several occasions that we have to be out of this studio at the time that we say we are going to leave. They've been very generous with us, giving us 3 hours to prepare for this, but it's so action-packed, and every little piece has been tightly choreographed.
Like every week.
It really is. Midweek Super Bowl in radio form, with a community radio and zero budget, so... In a lot of ways, it's nothing at all like Super Bowl.
Yeah, but we're already behind time, so we need to really spruce through this.
Again, another peppy pod needs to occur here.
Super Bowl did not need to be mentioned.
Cut down all the extra fat.
All right, so we're sorry about, what's it called, Hell in a Cell.
Yeah, so Hell in a Cell was a big mess. It wasn't very popular, not well received.
For anybody who wasn't listening, we started versing each other on the advice of one of our listeners telling us that he used to in high school play arm wrestling and try and beat the biggest, fattest ginger kid who was their sumo supreme master, the cell of whatever high school that was.
Yeah, so we were doing arm wrestles in the form of WWE wrestling.
And it's a great thing to do by yourself, that's fine.
But
Obviously with another person by yourself is terrible arm wrestling. But you do that when you can see what's going on. We listen back to it. We understand why everybody didn't like us continually going back to arm wrestle each other on a non-visual medium. It was terrible radio. We apologise. It won't happen again.
Uh-oh. What?
Here it is! Oh my God! The cell is lowering down. The cell is lowering. We didn't have time to get rid of it, and it's still in Studio B. The Hell Cell has got its boom.
And we've got a Royal Rumble, so it's what is it? What's your name again, Robbie?
The Crumpet Lad.
We didn't have time to queue up our theme songs either, so everybody's theme song now is John Cena.
Yeah.
Let's go. This is a
All
pod.
Three-way arm wrestle. Go.
Okay.
Everybody's versing each other, and whoever wins this Royal Rumble is the arm wrestling supreme champion. And I promise we'll never arm wrestle on the pod ever again. So sorry for all the people that hated it, but you know when the John Cena music starts, ready, set, go.
Time is now.
Oh my God! How is Robbie winning? All he eats is Big Orang, and he puts Nutella on the top. Top one out of nowhere, complete and utter shot. What the hell? It's a big show.
Okay.
Oh my God. Big show for a big show. That was an incredible end to
What an entrance to
Hell
this
in the Cell as it
pod.
ascends right back into the Studio B rooftop. Never to be seen again. I guarantee we won't.
All right, so the next segment is Then So Be It, which is really just a lead up to something we're going to be doing later on. But we just want to talk about...
So keep that in mind, and we're not telling you what it is.
Yeah. But, yeah, so we just want to talk about the phrase, then so be it. In what have you ever used this phrase?
Or we're wondering.
That's all.
Write in the comment box if you've ever seriously used the phrase, then so be it. Because we have a hypothesis that there will become a time in your life, in every man's life, that he will definitely have to say, then so be it. Maybe it's, Dad, I'm leaving to go to Venice for like 6 months, don't have any money, you know, just have faith in me. And then you'll be like, then so be it, son.
Yeah,
then so be it.
Yeah, or he's like, you won't survive there, son. And he goes, well, then so be it. And he goes anyway.
So I suppose that we're going to have to extend the hypothesis to, you might not say it, but you'll definitely hear somebody saying it seriously at one point in your life. We can promise you that. Stay tuned.
Yeah. Okay, so now we're going on to something that we've been thinking about for a while and that we're really wanting to eventually move towards, which is getting our own radio show on FBI, which we will obviously still record and upload as a pod, but wouldn't that be great? I'd like to be able to listen to that live. Wouldn't it be good?
Be a bit of fun, yeah.
I do like doing the podcast continuously. Nonetheless, the fact that we are never allowed in Studio A, where there's 3 computers instead of 2, just makes me feel like I'm missing out on the party. I want in on that.
So
it always just seems like we're not the cool kids, you know?
Yeah, we're in the shitty Studio B. It's actually all right. Thank you, FBI. Awesome.
Oh, yeah, thanks again.
Severe lack of tape, though. I keep winding it around my fingers. You might want to replace that.
So we're playing a segment called Peeping Tom, where I will be going into the main studio and snooping it out, because we keep getting told, like, no, guys, you don't want to get a show on FBI. Like, no, it's crap. We'll see about that, won't we? We'll have to find out.
Yeah, all we've got is this little goldfish view of Studio A from Studio B's adjacent window. And it does seem like maybe it's one of those grass is greener on the other side scenarios, because every time we're having a laugh in here, we see the lonesome little DJ in the other studio looking over going, You got a cake? Can I have some? No. Tom had to eat the whole thing.
Yeah, you got a kilo of custard? Can I have some of that custard?
Exactly. Episode 29 and 26, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm almost certain I am.
All right, so I'm going to go over and check it out, and maybe we can be popular.
Okay. All right, so he wants to be like the...
And she says, I wish that I could be
Now Tom's walking now.
'cause all the cool
Studio A, he's going to give me a buzz on the phone.
Very fitting music for FBI, even though I'm pretty certain they've never played this song before, because all I've ever heard it on is Today FM. Nonetheless, this is how it feels. We are now waiting for Tom to call us as he snuck into Studio A while someone is live on air, actually talking at the moment. Tom is walking
We can't
through the
see
doors.
him, but I think he's being very sly about this.
haven't got a clue.
I think he might be
Done
calling
a
now.
very good job of reconnaissance. You've got to. I mean, you know, if you're looking for a spy, look no further than Tom.
Oh, here we go. We're getting a phone call now from Tom. Tom, hello.
Hey, I'm in studio right now.
Are you-
Really? I'm gonna have to stand up to see if you're there.
Oh, are you? Oh my
The
God,
DJ
is he
hasn't
actually?
even noticed. What the hell? I mean, maybe she has because she's talking at the moment and she's just being very professional about the fact that somebody has intruded in, which is the biggest no-no of radio.
Yeah.
Cannot go in while someone's talking and Tom's done it.
That is. What do you find? What do you find? What do you think about the vibe in there? Is it worth it?
Yeah, it's great. It's really good. It's actually really cool in here.
Is it?
It's really comfy seats. We're on these crappy seats, really cool seats in here.
Oh my God!
Like,
So you reckon we should go for it?
We've got his confirmation.
Yes, we've got a
He says we
confirmation.
should ask?
He says we should do it.
FBI, don't mean to pry,
Okay.
but
Come back
you
in.
know, give us a slot. That'd be nice. Thank you very much. If you're listening, that'd be great. We've been here for 30 weeks. Far out. We've seen people on the desk. Go on air. For Christ's sake. As if we haven't done the hard yards.
I know. I think we deserve a bit of slot there, and see, and we just got confirmation that it was fantastic. That
Yeah, it's
that little
awesome. So yeah,
space.
if anyone's
Good.
listening that decides FBI rostering, let us know.
That would be great. And also, just for anybody who didn't hear that segment that well as I was listening into the headphones, I couldn't really hear what Tom was saying.
Really?
The sound of his tonality, which is always quite monotone and even keeled. No, he sounded slightly positive for Tom's standards.
Yeah, well, I was snooping in there, so I didn't want to make much of it.
No, I put it as close as I could, but
Yeah, sorry if I was whispering. Anyway,
It was amazing bravery. I mean, the woman, I'm sure she's nice, but while she's talking, she's got angular eyebrows that go down as if they're spears piercing into her nose.
Yeah, so has a angry face all the time. But yeah, she didn't see me, so I didn't see those eyes. So, all right,
Good work, Tom.
now Jordan, Rome, total war.
people have been requesting it, and we're going to give it to you, Jordan. What do you know?
Tell us about Rome.
Well, if you cue the music, Rome, 54 AD. Sorry, that's completely wrong. just wrote down the wrong date. By like hundreds of years. 455 AD. So, jump forward 4 centuries, and we are in the midst of the collapse of the Roman Empire. To give you a quick overview of where we are at this stage, there's about 30-odd years left of the West Roman Empire before it collapses. The East Roman Empire continues right up until the 90s, you can really say, if you're talking about the Ottoman Empire and the transition of the Byzantium. But look, that's a very technical approach to the Roman Empire. Really, it probably fell at about 1400 AD. But the West Roman Empire, much poorer than the East Roman Empire, much less protected, has slowly started to disintegrate due to the Roman Empire not being able to afford soldiers to begin with, because they kept deflating the currency. So as a result, their currency was pretty much worthless. To pay their soldiers, they had to start giving away land. As soon as you start giving away land, you receive less tax revenue. Yeah. So it's a downward spiral that very quickly the empire becomes extremely poor. So to sue for peace with all these encroaching barbarian forces that are coming from Germany, now they're sweeping through North Africa, which is terrible for the trade and commerce of Rome, because that's the food bowl. That's where they get all of their crops from, really, is from former Carthage and Egypt.
Yeah, right.
What's happened recently is North Africa has been taken by the Vandals. The Goths have taken parts of Gaul, most of Spain. Really, all that's left in the West Roman Empire is this little slither of Spain, a chunk of France and Italy. They've even taken Sicily. Every single year, the Vandals come in and raid Sicily. It's like the last documentary that I saw about it was this guy who was even more enthusiastic than me about Rome. You can see from the difference, I'm guessing, is that any Roman historian has an Emperor Hadrian sort of beard. It's not a hipster beard. It's actually quite like Tom's, really, like quite clean-shaven, just going there. Picture Sicily in 455 AD. I would not want to be there. Because every single summer they come with this massive fleet and ransack the place, because Sicily is a very rich island traditionally. Now it's kind of completely barren. They got bored of that, so they sacked Rome in 455 AD. Wow. That was just shockwaves throughout the entire empire.
Isn't that kind of like silly though, in that it's kind of what's the example where you killed the cow to get the meat, but that means you just get no milk ever again? Like, you want Rome?
I think you're talking about killing the golden goose, but that is also a really good analogy. You should use it from now on, because golden goose laying eggs, as Tom the Atheist would say, as if.
Yeah, they don't exist. Cows with milk exist. So yeah.
You want to talk cool? How does a cow feed 455 people a month sound? Atheist facts. They are actually kind of cool.
Yeah.
In their own way.
Yeah, but isn't that kind of silly? Like, why, if Rome's if the Sicily's their kind of fridge, I guess, why are they destroying the thing that packs the fridge?
Because really, they're not a civilization. Most barbarians, you have to remember, are one up from nomadic tribes. They just loot and plunder. That's what they do.
So there's no intelligence behind it. It's just kind of like, whatever we can do.
Not.
Yeah.
No. This is where, and just imagine me with the beard again, this is where you start to learn that might is right. Pax Romana is a nice idea, but it needs steel to be enforced. So what you find is that at this stage, the Roman Empire really doesn't have an army. It sort of does, but there's no military discipline behind it. There's no money behind it anymore. They're not paying Italians to do it. Long ago, the Italians found that it was a dirty occupation. It was no longer the noble enterprise that it used to be. It wasn't as profitable anymore because there was nowhere to ransack, so you were just getting this continual salary. You were always on the border fighting with barbarians. It was a horrible life. So what they started to do was hire out mercenary barbarian armies. So they had none of the discipline, none of the tact, none of the armor, anything like that. They fought like barbarians, and it was just, a huge hunk of Germans versing a huge hunk of Germans that were probably brother and sister. So it was kind of like this weird civil war where there'd be mercenaries fighting, I guess, in a way, also other mercenaries. Yeah. And so the only tactic that they had at this point Which, how barbaric is this? You get an axe, you chuck it at the other guy's shield, you hope it shatters or it goes through the shield and go straight onto the chest, and that's your only tactic, and then you just run in with a sword and just hack anything you can. That's from Rome in its glory days of having the testudo formation and like the jaws of death and these great military tactics that are still studied today, to just chucking an axe and stabbing what you can.
Step backwards. Sounds quite effective though. I would not like to have that happen to me.
Terrifying, right? But if you're versing a traditional Roman army, so the perfect example of that is in Britain against Queen Boadicea. She had 100,000 soldiers versus 10,000 Romans. The Romans suffered 250 casualties. That horde of barbarians suffered 80,000 casualties that day.
That's pretty impressive.
Jeez Louise.
Crazy numbers, right? So what happened now is, at this point, the army, which has always been the source of power, or has been for several centuries, it's moved away from political power. It's just been purely whoever the army wants emperor, that's who's installed. At this point, there's only barbarians really in the army. There's a few Italian and noble families still in there, but a lot of the power lies with a bunch of formerly Germanic generals. And so one of them is called Emperor Ricmus. I mean, well, he's not emperor yet, but...
Spoilers.
And Ricmus was known throughout history, even written down in history books as the puppet master.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Awesome.
Because at this point, there was just puppet emperors. The Visigoths, at that point, I think, ruled whoever was the emperor. The emperor was just a figurehead at this point who some Germanic king would install to keep the people of Rome semi-happy as they just looted the rest of Italy. And so the last real puppet emperor that was installed was Emperor Avitus. And Emperor Avitus, think about Rome at this stage, because it had been sacked a year before. They were not getting olive oil and grain from North Africa, which is... that's the staple of all the peasants. That's the way that you can have 1 million people sustained in a city, was them just exporting all of this stuff. And all of a sudden, that was cut off.
And Robbie, how do you feel about that?
So, Robbie, that's what we're going to ask you. Because we all know that you're a huge fan of bread and olive oil. So much so that you destroyed the segment Goosebumps, a crowd favourite, to replace it with Traby and Robbie, and it's just been a downward spiral ever since. The segments have gotten worse than you feeding us bread on air.
Yeah, so what would you do, Robbie, if your source of grain non-olive oil was taken away from you?
Well, apocalypse now, isn't it? I don't know what I'd do. That's a truly horrific thought.
Act it out.
It's like we bought a Roman in a time machine. And he looks quite gothic as well. Look at him.
Yeah, true, yeah.
This is barbarian standing there going, Rome isn't what it used to be, boys.
Yeah. You're such like a universal looking person, Robbie. You fit so many time periods. No, like, you don't fit any kind of, like, cultural period, but you just fit, like, times, like you're a temporal being.
Oh, God. Oh, dear. You know, that sounds absolutely awful. So, how did
that description of you or the oil?
No, I'm fine being a temporal being, but that olive oil situation was rough as guts. How did they deal with it?
Well, essentially what happened at this point was that Rome, it was every time you ever see a movie that is about a post-apocalyptic world, or the apocalypse, or just before the apocalypse. So this period we're talking about is kind of like the movie Blade Runner, if you've ever seen it. This massive humanity that's extremely poor and desperate, doing whatever it can to survive at this point. Society is really broken down. What happens in the streets is Emperor Avitus, it's kind of like Iraq at this point. He has this enclave of barbarian soldiers that all the Romans despise because they're not Roman, and right up until very recently, there was at least a Roman Praetorian Guard in Rome to keep the peace. But now they're even letting barbarians into Rome just to protect the emperor. Every time he walks out, there's just this massive people booing him and that absolutely despises the emperor. So they are clearing a path consistently, cutting people down in the streets, just beating the shit out of people, just for him to get from, say, like his palace to the royal latrine and things like that. So what happens then is he runs out of money because the empire's virtually disintegrated. The barbarians start bullying the emperor, saying, "You better pay up right now or we'll kill you." So he allows them to strip the royal palace, which has been around since Emperor Nero, of every single piece of wealth that it had. Even the bronze in it, they started kicking down walls to extract bronze from the walls.
Oh my God.
It was absolute ruin and rubble. This is the period that we're in. Ricmus, Avitus is so unpopular that the people of Rome eventually kick him out and his Praetorian Guard. He goes up to Germany where the Visigoth king is and asks for reinforcements to come back down and take Rome. In the meantime, this general called Ricmus comes in, a barbarian general, with a couple of his mates. They cut him off and kill the emperor. Well, they don't kill him at that point. They make him the Bishop of Rome because you can't be a barbarian king. You have to have a Roman being it still. That's kind of just the rules of the game at the moment. But so he keeps him alive to be like, yeah, like I'm a good guy. You can let me in and stuff like that. But then later, like a couple of days later, he comes in and stabs him while he's just like worshipping in a church.
Oh my God.
He's an extremely ruthless man. He's known as the Kingmaker for decades. He allows, first of all, his good friend Majorum to become emperor. He has a really bad campaign in northern Africa against the Visigoths. Against the Vandals, completely destroyed. Comes back, and Ricmus is displeased. So again, while he's just walking through the forest, Ricmus comes out, and there's just this moment, because they've been friends since childhood, where he's just like, I thought we were friends, you know? And then he just cuts his head off.
Then so be it.
He just cuts his head off.
Yeah. Beats the crap out of him, cuts his head off. That's the emperor. While all the Roman soldiers are standing around watching it happen, just kind of horrified. Don't know what to do.
But he's the puppet master, and you can't touch the puppet master.
So he comes... So then there's an onslaught of... puppet emperors that he keeps putting in, and then they kind of get ambitions and gets to their head that they're in control, but they're not. Emperor Ricmus is. So it comes to a point where he's just killed off, I think, 2 other emperors. Then he just puts himself in as king of Rome, emperor. And there's 2 years of him saying to the East Roman Emperor, because the reason why he doesn't want to do it is because the East Roman Emperor is still extremely powerful. So he can't say to him, like, a barbarian is now emperor of Rome, so he always has to have a different guy there. But at this point, he's just going, I'm just looking for a suitor. And rules Rome for 2 years straight with no regard for the empire that is crumbling around him. Every single month, there is a new barbarian horde that is ransacking Italy, and there's nothing that he can do about it, and he doesn't care. He just wants to be emperor of Rome. That's his only prerogative. And the empire just very quickly shrinks as a result of this. Emperor Leo thinks, crap, we're going to lose West Roman Empire. So he installs his own puppet emperor from the East Roman Empire. He comes in, and then it's kind of like this Scarface moment where it's gotten to his head that he's like the emperor of Rome. But, you know, like the East Roman Emperor is like the big caller in this world, right? So... It's fine for him to play all these little games with the barbarians, but as soon as the East Roman Emperor is in, it's a completely different game. So he thinks he's better than that. He kills him. And at this point, the East Roman Empire was, they were just like, you've got to do something. You've got to send in forces, take West Roman Empire back, and you're just going to become the emperor of the entire Roman world. And then he just goes and looks at it. He's just looking at this absolute chaos that is happening in West Roman Empire. And then he looks at how awesome and lush the East Roman Empire is. He's just like, fuck it.
Yeah. Let him have it.
Yeah. Like, there's nothing to have anymore. There's nothing. It's just a complete raid of barbarians. 30 years from now, they don't even have a Roman emperor. Like, this is the last emperor of Rome that had any significance or clout in that region of the planet. There was nothing after this. It was just a completely figurehead token gesture role, like it had been for years. But there was still something. They still had an army of some sorts. After this, it was just barbarian king installing their own puppet emperor, for whatever purposes they wanted, Emperor Rickmus just becomes more and more brutal as soon as the barbarians close in on him. And apparently what happened is Rome got sacked again after his death, but he was just sitting there kind of just in his own palace. This become insane, really, like a real Macbethian story. He had this complex of just so much blood on his hands of how many of his friends that he killed and murdered, and it started to play with him in his older age, and as a result he became more bitter and cruel. And so he's just sitting in this lonesome palace that's stripped of all its bronze, and, you know, there's like a couple of people in there that'd be going like, "Oh, hail the emperor," and they'd just be having sex in the corner and stuff like that. It was real post-apocalyptic stuff. Yeah. Just this rat palace, you know? And like all this massive people that just had no power at all. Anybody who had any money at all had gone to the East Roman Emperor decades ago. Yeah. It was just desperate Romans, barbarians going around beating them up and mugging them for any little coins that they might have left. That was the empire that he was in control of.
And what happened to him?
And then he... Sorry.
Yeah. And?
He then basically... That's the other thing. We have no historic records after this. They start getting really, really spotty because there's just no... Society's completely collapsed. So we have one source, and all it says is that he died in a violent flurry of vomiting blood for like 2 days straight, just going... That was the end.
Oh my god.
That was the end of Emperor Rickmus.
That was the end of Rome.
Bloody hell, mate.
Stay tuned next week and we'll talk about Romulus Augustus. Ironically, having the name of the founder of Rome, Romulus, and the first emperor, Augustus, he was called the Little Romulus. That's kind of what his name means. He was the last puppet emperor before, after that, they were just saying that, all right, let's stop this charade right now. It's just not an empire.
All right. Well, that was Rome Total War, which we all love.
Thanks, John. That was really
thanks, John. That was
passionate and interesting.
All right. So now we're moving on to something that we played last week, which is we made Robbie cry and we collected one of his golden dragon tears. So we set the task that one of two big Geordies fans, Ben Zeri or Liam Abbott, had the goal to try and find the tear, which was with me somewhere in the city, was the idea. Ben Zeri has...
I don't know. We don't know where he's gone. Like,
yeah, he's on a
both
quest.
Of these are completely off the scale. And the thing is, we only have a couple of days left before Matt Tarrant, the Dark Wizard, claims the Golden Dragon's tears. And that's bad for everyone. Yeah. As we stated in the pod previously, that's the end of humanity.
Yeah.
I don't know if we've got the science to back that up, but we have a very strong inkling that could happen at...
Oh my god.
What is happening? What? No!
No.
This is not...
Ben Zeri is in the studio.
Fighting Nazguls with light.
My god. Ben Zeri, how are you?
I'm good, thanks, Robbie. How are you?
Oh my god, we are well. What a sight to behold.
How did he find us? The chosen one.
This is remarkable.
So yeah, Ben, we've got Robbie's tear here in this bottle.
Yes.
Which is for you.
Ben,
you claimed it.
Yeah, congratulations.
We gave it also to Liam Abbott. There was a fight between you two of finding the quest, but it turns out that you have bested Liam Abbott, mostly because we've recorded this pod a day after we released the previous one, so I'm pretty sure Liam Abbott hasn't heard it, but you lose.
Yeah. So yeah, congratulations. Feel free to do whatever you want with it. eBay, auctioning, whatever you're up to.
Yeah. Dark magic.
That's
whatever.
all good, but the thing that we all need to know is that this is a lifelong commitment that you now have, Ben Zeri. You have to safeguard this from a dark wizard. Now, we all know that you're just a hobbit, but that's why White Wizard Tom here thinks that you're the most likely to have this, much like Gandalf did, strangely, in a world of mythical creatures that have great powers, such as, you know, the gift of eternity, such as that the elves had. Excellent fighters as well. No, you give it to a midget.
Yeah, very strange decision, but it worked out in the end, I guess.
Yeah, they seem to have a lot of foresight. Much like Tom, he's got the same foresight as well. Ben Zeri is obviously a fully bodied man, but in this situation, yeah, no, he's about as tall as our shins.
All right, so Robbie, hit the other music.
Yeah, well, yeah, okay, here we go.
All right. So Ben,
What a thing to be bestowed.
I am honoured. Truly
You,
honoured.
good lord. This is...
will you take this tear and guard it for the rest of your days?
I do.
Then
So be it.
Do you feel way
You
more
doubted
serious,
it. You
Ben?
doubted it, fellow pod listeners, that there wouldn't be a point in your life where you heard "then so be it" said seriously. Well, who's laughing now? No one, because that was extremely serious.
All right.
Okay, yep, cool. So,
Got the music. That's the end of
we
it.
got the tear. Cheers for coming, mate.
All right. Now moving on to the next segment, which is something which I don't know.
Ben,
Secret
you can
Tom.
stay here. That's perfectly
Yeah,
fine.
yeah.
Sorry, we're not kicking
No.
you out. You can stay for the rest of the pod. Just hang out. We're all friends.
Yeah.
All right. So you guys want to introduce this one? I don't know what it is.
Okay, so Ben,
Yes.
you've also got something else on you, don't you? You've got a...
Yes, on my travels here through Camelback, along the Flying Fox, and through a tyre swing. I got a
The
message.
tyre swing was more fun than necessary.
A brief pit stop.
Yeah.
I got a message on my way.
Oh,
Let
really?
me read it out.
Okay.
Dearest Tom, it has come to our
what's
attention that you failed your studies at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and
Oh,
Wizardry.
my... You naughty boy.
man.
No.
Oh, don't sarcastically mention it. You always told us that you finished Hogwarts, Tom.
Yeah,
now look at you. Filthy, dirty liar.
Lying piece of... Carry on, Ben.
Go on.
And on that note, we solemnly invite you to continue your studies of runecraft, Quidditch, potions majoring in invisible ink,
Yeah.
dueling, aromatherapy. Wizardly regards, Danklador. Not to be confused with the recently deceased Dumbledore.
There we go. Very
Okay.
topical. You can't deny it. It's clearly legit. We
It's
all
in
know from
paper
the Harry
proof.
Potter series
We
that
know it's
Dumbledore
true.
is dead.
So this
Thanks,
is what
Ben.
you've been preparing for like 2 weeks.
Yes.
Essentially, that's pretty much
That's
it. No. You wish it was it, you filthy atheist. You now, every single week, must study one of the aforementioned subjects.
Aromatherapy.
And you must pass
is
it.
one, yeah.
You can start off with
Yeah,
that
yeah.
one if you like, but you got to tick them all off
Okay.
to have truly graduated high school. And
Okay.
if not, you're a dirty ditcher. You can't be on this anymore. You have to become a plumber, which is great. That's a really good job, but you're not allowed to talk anymore. That you have to do 6
All right,
tasks.
I honestly hate doing this. I hate those websites.
All the better.
Okay, cool.
You've been a naughty boy, Tom.
Yeah. All right. Well, this is a good way to
Naughty
lead
boys get
into the
punished.
next segment.
Jesus Christ.
Taboo tightrope, which is
That's fine. Yeah, okay, you've got it all.
yeah, you're getting way better at the
Great
sounds of
spokesman.
it.
Thanks, man.
So this week, the taboo tightrope's not nearly as taboo. It's something which is more just something.
Speak for yourself, Tom.
Yeah, well, no one will agree with me on this, but all right. So this is my gripe. So the taboo tightrope is this: that everyone has always pays out the Dursleys, who are Harry's foster parents, so much. But I don't know. Maybe this is a really common thing that people have thought in the past, but it just seems really unfair. Like
Well,
they don't. seem
let's
that
just
bad to
ask
me.
quickly. We'll just get a quick vox pop. Ben, what do you think of the Dursleys?
Well, they were very mean to Harry, weren't they?
Well, yeah,
Well,
but
Good question. Like, well, good point. But
that is a good point.
I actually disagree. So, for
And
instance,
hence the tightrope is tightened.
yeah.
Cue Tom taking off his shoes if you'd like to do that, so we have a visual a visual guide
too
of that. He actually is taking them off with the most appropriate shoe taking off music ever.
All right, so the reason why I think the Dursleys are all right is, firstly, when Hagrid comes into that strange lighthouse house that they've moved to and bursts the door in, and he's
Keep
like,
in mind, Tom has never read the Harry Potter books. This
I've-
is purely from
That is true. Yeah.
he bursts down the door, and he said, like, so he's forcing Harry to go to this school. There's a line in it where Mr. Dursley says, like, we won't be paying for that boy to attend this school.
Yeah.
They're paying the school fees. No, like, as if, like, so it's just assumed that they have to pay for Harry to attend this fancy wizard private school, and he doesn't, like, Well, there's no say. The parents just like they've taken him in.
After raising him.
They've raised him up. They've taken him in. They're in a shitty tiny house. Where do you want them to put him? They're in a shitty house. Of course they're going to give him the tiny room.
Oh my god!
I don't know about the room
Can
situation,
You
to be
please
honest,
shut this awful rendition of history down.
But just take the economics of it, though, right? Like, it's just unfair. Like, they get these letters, and they're just like, we can't afford it, Harry. You have to go to the public school, or whatever it is. But, like, Hagrid's making them pay the fees. At least cover the fees. If you're going to take him to Hogwarts, cover the fees.
This is so inaccurate.
Blasphemous.
Your understanding of the Harry Potter series is truly
Well,
offensive.
explain it then. Explain
no
it.
wonder this is in Taboo Tightrope, but I feel like bleeping it right now. That is worse than swearing.
All right.
Ben, you know what happened. Come on, tell him. Tell him
Well-
why that's completely wrong.
Go on.
Harry's stepbrother.
Yeah.
He did go to a private school, didn't he? So
True,
they
true.
were well off, and I don't think they accepted Harry. I think it was more he was dropped onto the doorstep, and he's there against everyone's will.
Right.
You
That
heard
is
it
my
from Ben.
rendition.
All right, but just the school fee thing. I really don't think they should be forced to pay school fees if they're, like...
Just because they don't favour Harry?
Well, like, it just seems as though if Hagrid's forcing him to go to this school, are they, like, really insisting that he goes? The owls are destroying the house with those letters.
KJ, Tom's girlfriend, are you listening to this? Do you really want to raise a child with this man?
It's just Harry Potter in general, actually. I'm a bit not that much of a fan of it.
Really? Well, okay, but there was...
a hard man to please, but yeah, no, that's because you haven't read the books. Everyone
read the
admits
first
that
one.
the movies is terrible.
Oh, really?
Oh, you read the first one? You didn't think
Yeah.
it was good either?
It was all right.
All right, you're entitled to your opinion then. The
Yeah.
thing is, you should know from the first book then that Dudley being the genetic
kid.
son of the Dursleys, had 2 rooms to himself.
Did he?
It wasn't that they kept him in the closet because they didn't have a choice.
Oh,
It's
well, they
because
didn't make that
hated
clear
Harry
in the
Potter
movie.
so much. Exactly.
So do you revoke?
Exactly.
Do you
But just
revoke
like a
your
lot of
taboo?
things,
You're
like-
listening to Taboo Tightrope, the things that never need to be said.
All right, the other example is in the second one where, like, what's the little alien thing?
What? Dobby?
Dobby.
All right. Look, there's a different audience. Horses for courses, mate. Come on.
I know, but then people just, if they do the comparison, it's like, it's not a comparison.
But do people do that, though? Do people
Tom,
say
this is
Harry
such
Potter's better than Lord of the
unfounded
Rings?
criticism. Everything that you've said.
Yeah,
with
well,
such
beat me out
passion,
then, mate.
fervour,
Beat me
rage.
out.
We might have to.
You know what? I
That's-
think we will.
it's
I
sort
think
of
we will. I'm
insanity.
doing you a favour. Last week you did me a favour by bleeping out something that I said that was, let's be honest, utterly insane.
That was so crazy. I've never seen something that crazy.
Yeah.
But what you've said is just like, Ben, how do you feel about it? What's your feelings on this?
Have I swayed you a little bit?
Not at all.
Oh, fuck.
What, so you're saying that the three kids have defeated Voldemort throughout all the movies, but up until the last 2 movies, he's never at his full strength. Like in
True.
the first movie, he's like a parasite on the back of someone's head.
All right.
How
I
easy
think
is that to defeat?
when
a
you take
face on
on-
the back of someone's head, you give it a slap and it'll start crying.
Yeah, when I say things, I think you should discount like the first half, and then by the second half of what I'm saying, I'm getting onto something.
Oh, that's good. That's a good way to do it.
What?
So
No,
for
by the
instance-
end there, you were going, people that compare Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter are stupid.
That was your conclusion.
That was your conclusion to the Dursleys. The Dursleys were nice
The
to Harry.
Dursleys are- all right, whatever.
You
Yeah.
idiot.
I just hate this, like how like 20-somethings are always like so like eager to defend Harry Potter just because it was this really like nostalgic feel. Like at least look at it as like a text now. It doesn't hold up. It just
But
doesn't.
everyone admits that Harry Potter isn't great writing.
Yeah.
It's just a fantastic story because it's a combination of everyone else's stories.
Yeah, but that's
It's like
what I'm
Star
saying.
Wars.
I'm saying that like there are like, you know, the big one that everyone always mentions is like the time traveling device. Like introduce time travel to magic and you've got a whole world of issues. Like they could have solved that whole story straight away. They use it for like what, skipping class? This is a fucking time travel device.
All right,
It's very good that the wizard is talking about the implications of magic because it's kind of factual in a way that there is a wizard in the studio just being like, look, time travel is just completely out of the realm of magic, okay? Let's be real about magic.
Okay, while we're on the topic of Harry Potter and taboo things, okay? We might have to beat this, but...
But also, what do you guys think? Write it in the comments. If you agree with Tom, quickly put up a picture of a light switch that says on, and if you don't agree, put up a light switch that says off.
I love these dumb comments.
I know. Okay, how's this
Do
sound
it.
to you?
Oh, what's taboo to you, Robbie?
What do you think about this? it's been said by J.K. Rowling. Okay, I don't know if you've heard about this, Ben, that Dumbledore is in fact a gay man. Did you hear that?
I've heard that.
Yeah, I've
Okay.
heard that as well.
To me, that makes it more.
Okay, it's been next segment. Bye-bye.
So ridiculous.
See you next week.
Why
on
is
the
it so
Multitude
ridiculous?
Tightrope.
Why? It's not ridiculous.
Yes, it is. You're ridiculous. I don't beep it out. All
I
right.
think it's ridiculous.
Yes, it is. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? You're just all right. Number 6. Next segment.
All right.
All right. So it's just like I'm just going to be so hated after these 2 segments together. All right. This is called Tom Hates the Pod, which is
Okay. All right. Let's do this.
Wait.
all right. Go on. What?
Go on. You've had your AM music introduction.
Yeah.
There's been a slight pause. Tom, explain to us your next zany theory.
It's not a theory. It's just something that you always get angry at me about because I don't.
You're right. Theory was completely the wrong word.
Yeah.
Sorry that you're such a grammar Nazi and you can't let that slide.
Let it slide. Yeah, so I just, so basically every week I don't listen to the pod, which I don't think is a weird thing because we're recording the pod right now. I've heard it because we're doing it.
Yeah, we want to,
That's
raise
true.
the bar.
Ben, what do you reckon about this? Do you think it's weird that Jordan and Robbie listen to the pod?
Well, do you guys like the sound of your own voices?
Yeah,
Is that
thank
a
you.
thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you reckon that's kind of like, I feel it's weirder that you guys are like big fans of your own pod. Like,
I know. I just want to sort of gauge what I'm doing that works and what doesn't. In terms of sound effects and things
Really
like
put
that.
us on the back foot, Tom. We slotted this in as a segment that you're supposed to be the bad guy in this situation, but you very quickly turned it around on us.
Yeah,
You
what the
Malcolm Turnbull.
go back to Hogwarts, man.
What is this?
yeah, I don't think it's weird at
wizardry?
all.
How did you do that?
Jesus
What's going
Christ,
on?
mate?
All right, let's quickly skip through that. All
Why
right.
are we? No.
No.
Let's
You
pose
hate
it
the
our
pod.
case. Yeah, this is huge news.
I don't hate
understand. Yeah, you don't hate it, but you're not a fan of it. You don't like
Yeah.
the pod. You're the. That's so weird that out of this entire community, you're the only person that doesn't like it, and you have a mic. You've got 1/3 of the mic.
The only reason you say that is because I don't listen to it.
I remember also, and I quote, very loosely paraphrased because it was months ago. I really loosely remember this conversation.
Right.
You were saying that when I said, why don't you listen to it, you were saying that it's just because I enjoy more serious endeavours. I'm more of a fan of
say
Sam
that.
Harris.
Oh my god!
No, actually,
Quote,
you
quote,
ponce.
word for word.
You absolute.
That wasn't
ponce.
even me talking. It was a tape recorder. That's right. You sound like this all the time. That's why you don't like listening to the pod, because you actually sound like this. And you have to hear that. Gross.
No, it's true that I would prefer to listen to some other podcasts than our own pod.
All right, no,
heard
that's
it.
fair
There you
enough,
go.
though. That's a fair enough thing to say, though. I probably
Not
I'm
fair
probably
enough.
say, isn't it? That's
Not
fair
at
enough. No, but you know what's not fair enough? It's like a sport. When you play sport, you watch yourself back, see how you can improve. Okay.
Improve. The okay symbols
yeah.
are there.
But don't you think? Do you agree with that? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I guess so, but I don't know. I feel like you should be able to gauge, whether you think you had it was a good pod or not afterwards. I don't think you have to listen back.
Yeah, okay.
I did
Tom, that is just guessing.
Yeah,
you don't know if it is or isn't until you listen to it.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
just
talking about
that's a
enjoyment though, right?
vibe you
Like
get.
out of whether or not I like the pod, I prefer to listen to pods that I haven't listened to. It's just I just feel like I'm listening
You haven't
back.
listened to this. You've just talked.
I know, but I've listened to it because we've done it. Like right now, I've listened to what we've already said.
But how after each day you only remember like 5% of what happened in that day.
This is just some like 12 to 16 parts of your brain stat.
Which is a fact. Don't look it up, though.
Yeah, so you
just
only remember
trust me on that.
5% of your day.
Isn't it?
and-
Unless you write it down, you only remember like up to 5% or something.
I think you have like 1,000 dreams a night as well.
I think 1,500.
1,000, yeah.
These are all very, very
Spurious.
factual statements that you don't need to worry about. We've all got this under control. Robbie, what's your point?
What's my point about the 5%?
Yeah, what's
well,
your point?
because you don't know how the pod was. Like you say we do it at the time. The next day, you don't know what the hell happened that day.
Yeah.
So you need to
Yeah,
revisit
fine.
it.
I'll start listening to it.
In fact, pop quiz. What happened in the last pod? I rest my case.
It was.
It was only yesterday, or the day before. Yeah.
You remember it like it was yesterday, and that's really sad that you can't remember yesterday.
Yeah.
You should get that checked out. You're in your 20s.
All right, Robbie. You're fucking two at once. You're on your last legs.
Just please hear me out.
All right, that is a really good introduction to the final segment.
Because arbitrarily, for no rhyme or reason whatsoever, even though Tom has openly admitted and defended his position vehemently, and I've got to say well played as well, that you detest the pod. Your words, no one else's. You hate it.
Okay.
However, Robbie, your career is on the line at the moment.
Why?
Because like we're not getting enough from Patreon. Like really, yes, we're happy to pay you the dollars. That's fine if you're still working for us. But really, the last few weeks of segments have been. It would be
Atrocious.
better if they weren't in the pod. Let's just put it that way.
Look, we got rid of Goosebumps for you because you insisted on Trey BN. You said, guys, I've got this really good segment. We're going to do Trey BN.
Everyone says it was absolute shambles. I sort of stand by it, to be honest.
Yeah,
I think
it was
right.
terrible.
Ben,
And that's why we're in this
can
situation.
we just ask Ben? All right, Ben, what do you think of Trey Bien with Robbie?
Well, it kind of, to me, it should have been like a visual segment. Like you were
Yeah.
eating something.
Yeah, it's an awful segment.
No,
We've done visual things
Factor
in
in
the
the
past.
fact that Ben has said about 20 sentences in his life to Robbie. That was quite a scathing critique.
But it's honest and it's true. It's an awful segment.
Look, listen up. Okay, have you heard of the concept of theatre of the mind?
Yes, I have.
Does that factor into it at all for you?
But what are you imagining? Just some people eating bread and oil. It's
delicious food that I'm bringing in for you.
half eaten. You'd eaten half that bread loaf. It was like disgusting.
You don't need to imagine that if you don't want to. Like, it's theatre of the mind, mate.
All right, so then you try and replace that. You try and redeem yourself with What Am I Thinking? A game where we have to guess what your thoughts are, and you won't even tell us what the thought was.
Well, I will eventually. Like, so today's the finale of it. You know, people have guessed. And
All right.
I'm going to let you know what it is.
okay,
Well,
so
Ben, can you take us through the last guess of... This will be the end of this segment. After Ben Zeri has the final guess of what Robbie was thinking, he's going to exclusively reveal to us what he was thinking 2 pods ago,
Yep.
just at one moment of his entire conscious being.
And then, Robbie, you're going to do another segment, your new replacement to Goosebumps. And if we don't like it, you're fired. We're going to get someone else.
And it'll be a democratic vote, that's fine. Ben gets a vote, Tom gets a vote, Jordan gets a vote, Robbie does not get a vote on his own future.
I don't like this.
You don't have to like it, it's just what's happening.
All right, so, Ben, have a guess. What was Robbie thinking?
Okay. All right, Tom, you start off with the guess. You have one more guess each.
Were you thinking of music?
No.
Beethoven, not the musician, as I just found out that you said that you weren't thinking about music, so I'm going to change it to the delightful family dog that was in a great G-rated show, I'm thinking 1993.
No. Sorry, Jordan.
Can I have a second guess really quickly? Nutella.
No, that's incorrect. Ben.
Was it lunch?
It wasn't lunch. Guys, it was... Let me just...
God, this is awful.
Written it down on his
Terrible
notes.
start, Robbie. You can't remember what you... You don't have to get it out of a... Are you searching through a bin? You're searching through a bin. What are you doing? Just say what it was.
saying it was champagne.
It's gone everywhere! It's gone everywhere!
He's just popped a bottle of champagne. He's pouring glasses of champagne.
We just asked FBI for a segment on radio and you trashed Studio B.
Champagne.
Oh my god, champagne breakfast!
He's trying to get himself
Thank you
back.
so much,
It
Robbie.
was champagne. Guys, you were very close with your guesses.
It's 9 in the morning. Oh, that looks...
Bubbly, just like the song. Good on you, Katy Perry.
Guys, I'm very proud of all you guys guessing out there. That was they were quality guesses. I particularly like the penne carbonara one. I thought that was pretty close, but it wasn't. It was indeed champagne. So,
Great.
guys, I want you to drink deep. Ben, here's to Ben. He's true guess. Go. All right, 3, 2, 1. Down it like a madman. You are ballistic. He's a madman.
Well done. Cheers to Ben. Cheers to Robbie, as this may be
Cheers.
his very last segment,
Cheers.
which is extremely hard as he just handed us champagne.
Yeah, this is the blood of Christ, Robbie. It's your last supper. Let's hear the last segment you have.
Okay. What?
Let's hear it.
We don't know if it's the last one. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So the last, my new segment.
All right, so Trey Bien, what am I thinking? What's better?
Robbie, do you have a tie that you can put on, because you're really giving us a pitch at the moment?
I don't have a tie. No.
You came to a job interview like this.
Don't rag on my cord,
an
man.
all-purpose audio cord around himself.
Looks like a
because
noose,
he is,
mate.
I suppose,
Okay.
and Noose is also applying as an audio engineer, so very fitting that he is wearing that, I've got to say. But at the same time, it's,
right.
it's pretty ominous.
Let's hear it, Robbie.
Okay. The segment is called "A Gentleman Never Tells."
Okay, great. Good start.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
Fantastic. I've got to say, I really, really like the title.
All right, representing the audience, Ben, what do you reckon? Do you like that title so far?
Pretty good so far.
Thanks, Ben.
What would you rate it out of 10? What would you give this title?
Well, you've left a lot up to the imagination. So.
Yeah, true.
Theatre of the
Theatre.
Mind.
The line, there we
Yeah,
go. Solid
bullseye.
9.
In one, Ben. So, the segment is, I've got a little secret from my past, and you guys have got to guess what it is.
You idiot. You're such an idiot.
We told you about this. We told you we were going to fire you if you didn't come up with something better. You came up with the exact same segment.
There's no difference. It's the same thing, you moron.
You just have a bit of time.
You were so close as well. that thing around your neck. I'm sorry, Robbie, but yeah, you're done.
What did you mean? Okay, so that's one from Tom. That's one no.
What are you talking about?
That's terrible.
It's a good title. It's a good, people got involved with Ready. It was a trailblazer. I'm just continuing the trailblazing nature of these segments.
Was it a trailblazer? It was a car game.
And I bet you as well. I bet you as well. It's going to be A Gentleman Never Tells. Everyone will guess it, and you won't tell what the secret is. I bet you that was your end.
Why don't you guess?
All right. I guess we should do the segment before we condemn you. All right. What's your secret? Okay.
It's from my past.
All right. You once. Oh God, I don't know what could it be. You lived in another country that we don't know about.
Well, Tom, a gentleman never tells.
Oh my god.
Bastard! You bloody bastard! You're digging your own grave. All right, go on, Jordan.
I guess that you were the male dancer in a rendition of the Nutcracker, and you didn't want anybody to know your identity.
Again, a gentleman never tells.
So, wait. So this, what if this
it
segment
could
is?
be.
It could be right. I could have guessed that you were the male dancer in the Nutcracker.
Yeah, all of this could be right, but you'll never tell. That's your game. That's your. All right, Ben, your guess.
Ben's guess.
I think I got it. You've injured yourself in a way that is embarrassing, and you do not want to tell the story.
I do actually have a great story of that. But Ben.
However, this may shock you, Ben,
A gentleman. Well, he never tells.
All right, that's enough of that charade.
If you want to try that out in the comments section, what's my secret?
Yeah, this is the last chance you'll ever get to comment anything for Robbie, so make the most of it.
Well, we're not sure about
So much unlike, we don't know because the judge tally hasn't been in yet. However, much unlike when Robbie was clicking like to everybody's guess if it was correct, if it was incorrect, he will again, just to shroud more mystery in it, he will not be doing that this time. However, feel free to guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so I vote Robbie's fired. Ben, what do you reckon?
What?
It's hard.
Why are we
Fired.
What?
Fired? Majority rules. It doesn't even matter what Jordan says.
Why would you say you're in? I thought Ben was going to say you're in.
Why would you do that?
Good on you. Oh, God, that's
All right, so Robbie, your
do you
first
mean?
duty you have to do to replace yourself is you need to find a replacement sound person. So we were thinking,
But who's going to...
we were thinking you ring up Yaya, who
one
works
of your
at FBI.
former harem in the Golden Dragon lair, an egg that hatched and escaped, thank God, the clasp of this Yeti dragon. So, the rare hairy dragon. Sorry, I know that you're really sad at the moment.
Like, can we... No, I...
So yeah, can you ring Yaya, please, right now?
You also have to ring a former girlfriend of yours that rejected you outright and ask her to replace you on the pod. Replace you.
I don't even know why I'm going through with this, to be honest. Like, why would I even give this the time of day?
Well, we'll see
Who's
how
going to
your
do the
replacement
sound?
goes.
Who's going to do the... Oh,
We'll see how the replacement
Yaya
goes.
will.
and- Yeah,
That's who.
She works here. She's a producer.
Ben, you traitor. I give you my tear. I bestow my tear upon you.
He's the real dark wizard.
Good prize. Okay.
Ben, how could you?
What would you have voted, by the way, Jordan?
I would have kept him in. I thought Ben was going to keep him in. He's gone. He's actually gone now.
Oh, play that music.
Which one?
I think we've got...
Oh, hello. Is this Yaya?
Yeah?
Hi, this is Robbie. Do you remember me?
Yeah, Robbie. Hey, Robbie, no, it's not really good.
That's fine, Yaya. We're just on air live
Okay,
really quickly at the moment. Just to quickly bring you up to speed. Sorry about this. Robbie has just been fired from the pod. We need a new sound person. Would you like to be the sound person for the Friendlyjordies podcast? It's got about 5,000 listeners. It's great exposure for your show. It'd be great if you came aboard. We'd love to have you.
That sounds good. Can you literally call me?
We will do that. Okay, we'll take that as a yes.
Okay.
See ya.
Thanks,
See ya.
Yaya.
Hey, goodbye, Robbie.
I guess.
Good riddance to bad garbage.
There.
Thanks, bye.
Thank you very much. See ya.
That was the most unenthusiastic job acceptance ever. Yeah, I guess I can, but can I call you back?
And that concludes episode 32 of the Friendlyjordies podcast. Robbie plays that with our traditional Katy Perry music. Can't remember the name of the song, but it's great.
Firework.
Yeah, that's what we do. Celebrate it.
Oh.
Good riddance.